Hello everyone, welcome back to the Highly Sensitive Healer YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being here. As always, if you can, please subscribe to the channel, like, share this video, and turn on those notification bells. With all that being said, I wanted to jump right into today's video, which is going to be about the inner critic and pretty much everything about the inner critic. And when I say inner critic, I'm referring to the inner critic when it comes to narcissistic abuse and complex PTSD, cptsd. It's important to understand what the inner critic is. Now, if you ever heard of the band Linkin Park, they have a song out there called Paper Cut. And I believe the lyrics in that song called Paper Cut, he's describing, Chester in the song, in the band, is describing what it is to have an inner critic. And if you take some time, go ahead and check that song out, check that video out, and I think you'll agree with me on what I'm trying to say. And the lyrics are just speaking that he's got an inner critic that he's dealing with, and points out all the mistakes to him constantly and is always against him and not for him. Now, the inner critic, it's exactly what it says. A critic, I mean, there's good and bad critics, but the inner critic is usually always a bad critic. That's first and foremost to understand. It's usually a bad critic. And the reason that it's usually a bad critic is because a narcissistic, toxic person usually is the one that helped put it there, or was the reason that it's there in the first place. And if you grew up with a narcissist in your family as a parent, or you grew up with multiple narcissists in your family as a parent or a sibling or friends or whatever have you, or you're faced with it in your workplace, then chances are that inner critic that you have was placed there because of one of those people, if not multiple of those people, sadly enough, I'm sorry to say. And it's a shame because I can reason with you. I have an inner critic that just won't give up. And I'm fighting against that inner critic every single day. And it's a battle, to say the least. And I win some battles some days, and I lose some battles some days. But ultimately, I'm trying to win the war with that inner critic. And I'm not going to stop, and you can't stop either. You can fight that inner critic off by telling yourself and talking to yourself with self-compassion is probably the most important thing. Nurture and self-compassion. That's at least what's been working for me personally. And I just wanted to relay that message to you and what's working for me. Also, be patient with yourself. Patience is a virtue, to say the least, especially when healing from narcissistic abuse. If you're healing from narcissistic abuse, or just toxicity in general, be patient with yourself in your healing. Remember, healing is not linear, meaning there's going to be some days that you feel like you're 2 steps forward, but then there's going to be other days that you're 4 steps backwards. It's just the reality of it. That's how it goes. But what's important is that you're working towards bettering yourself and healing yourself constantly. Getting those toxic traits, we'll say, not characteristics, traits out of you, and you becoming more of yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself, because the true person that I'm looking at right now is probably a pretty cool person once you get to know them. But you have to let that person come out. You have to self-accept yourself for who you are and not allow toxic, narcissistic people to dim that down or make you who you're not. The more we act and behave and speak the way that we aren't as people, the more unhappy we're going to be. But the more we act like ourselves, behave like ourselves, and talk like ourselves, the happier that we'll be. I hope that all makes sense. I'm going to end it right there. I'm going to leave you with what I always leave you with, and that is, of course, be kind to others, but most of all, please be kind to yourselves. It's known as self-compassion. Take care, everybody, and don't forget to subscribe. Take care.